Secondly, you're here for one or two reasons. You're here for the services or the opportunity. In my opinion, you should do both. And I want to say a cool quote that I learned from this guy right here, and it's by Mark Twain, and it is, it's not what you don't know that'll get you hurt. It's what you do know for sure that just ain't so. So what that means is tonight you're going to hear a lot of things from us educating you, and we're going to be challenging conventional wisdom. We're gonna go, when people are going left, we're going right, because just because they're going left doesn't mean that's always the best thing to do. Would you guys agree? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna challenge conventional wisdom tonight, and you're gonna be thrown a lot of information. You're not expected to gather it all. However, you're here to learn. And with that being said, I want to thank you for your time. It's not taken lightly, and it'll be well worth it. So take notes, pay attention. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our BVP, Shane Young. And thank you, guys.
All right. Again, thanks for being here. For those of you who don't know, this camera here, it's got people from everywhere. I know there's some folks from Georgia that I spoke to last night, and other places that are kind of plugging in from elsewhere. So we keep an option for out-of-towners to stay plugged into what we do. My name is Shane Young, and I'm a SVP in the company.
SVP now. Oh man.
And I moved here from Memphis, Tennessee about 2 months ago, and that's where I was a teacher and a coach, and I run my own nonprofit organization here, but from here, still to this day. So taught elementary school, and when I was getting finished up with my third year of doing it, I was getting offers from all kinds of different schools to be like a principal even, and and to run my own school, open it up, or just be another teacher somewhere else, and all these opportunities to get like a pay raise and do these things through what we accomplished in Memphis. And when weighing out the options, looking at things, it was like a little bit about money, but then you realize how much time you put into a job, and then you line up the money next to it, and that doesn't make it worth it. I don't know if any of you have a similar situation. For me, it was always just about the kids. And so won't talk about me all night. I'm just here to tell you that I found a way to be unemployed, free up 40 hours a week. As much as I love teaching, I figured out a way to become unemployable. And that's through our company. Unemployable just simply means that when an employer can't afford your time anymore, right? You spend a lot of time, and whatever you earn is really not up to you unless you're unemployable, making your own dreams come true, not building someone else's. And so that's what brings me here. And once again, thanks for coming. And those of you that are online, thank you for being on our broadcast. And so we'll cut right to the chase. Everybody's pretty smart here, right? Everyone's super brilliant here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, except for me. So I'm the one teaching too, right? It's pretty funny. So here's the deal. We're going to talk about a lot of different things tonight: retirement, savings, just some basic principles. We're going to start out with some really basic principles, the 6 steps to financial security. And when you're thinking about these things and hearing them, listening, taking notes, those of you taking notes, great idea, great job. You're going to hear a lot tonight, but don't be overwhelmed. It's not overwhelming. In fact, we've met with people and had them right in this room, people from CEOs to truck drivers to every occupation you can think of, and the pay that comes along with it, or the credibility that some people might think it brings. We've dealt with everybody, and so for you to understand this, we promise not to be too advanced, not to be too elementary, because we break things down in a different way. We think a little bit differently, like Trey said. Some people go left, we go right. We challenge conventional wisdom because we know where that's gotten most people in our country, and we've just experienced it, seen it, and our goal and dream is to help people get out of that. So we'll cut right to the chase. By the way, if you guys have a question for me, you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
Joe, you want me to answer it if you ask me a question?
I'd like that.
All right. Well, I want you to answer my questions too. So we get a little interactive, okay? And we'll get your feedback. And Jose, we might have to quiz you at the end, okay? So stay engaged. All right, number 1. So 6 steps of financial security. Think about these in terms of, well, do you have all 6 of these lined up right now for your future? Okay, and if you don't, you're missing one of them. Think about it, because we call your plan and your finances Swiss cheese finance, Swiss cheese planning, because you have a hole in it. we believe all 6 of these are essential. The first one's pretty obvious. What was your name, sir?
Me?
Yes.
Don.
Don?
Yeah.
What does that number 1 say, Don?
Increase cash flow.
Increase cash flow. How many people would not want to increase cash flow? Tony's like, yeah, I'm good with my cash flow. No. Everybody would like to increase cash flow, right? So two easy ways to do that. One's easier than the other. The one easy way is to make more money. Wouldn't that increase your cash flow?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the easy one. Then the hard one that I think most people settle for is cut your expenses. Both of those increase your cash flow, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, and everybody agrees you should increase your cash flow. So number 1, if you agree with that, give me a hand up. Increase cash flow, great. We're all cool on that one. Number 2, Jose, what's number 2?
Establish an emergency account.
Establish an emergency account. So I'm going to ask a slightly personal question. How many people have a emergency account set aside for emergencies? Okay, slightly personal question, but guess what? Nobody's judging here. No worries. So emergency account, right? A lot of people think, and maybe you raise your hand, that that's their savings account. Well, we coach people differently in our company, and we guide people to think a little differently. So we think your savings account is great, and that should be for what you want to buy in the future, or your down payment on something that you want to buy, house, car, whatever. And then your emergency account should be for emergencies. If you buy a carton of milk, you expect it to be milk inside it, don't you? Well, if you want to establish an emergency account, it should be there for emergencies. And we coach people to have half of your annual income saved up in that account. So if you make $40,000, how much did you have saved up in your account before your coach? $20,000. Seems like a lot, right? Seems like a lot for middle-class people to have half their annual income. Well, that gives you security. Here's why you need it. Number 1, you got to pay for the emergency. That's what most people think about. What most people don't think about is, how do I still work and make income when I'm recovering or suffering from an emergency? Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Take a seat. Hey, Jesus.
Hey, hello.
All right, so anybody disagree about establishing an emergency account? That's an obvious one, right? They're obvious and they're so easy, Jay, but think about them in terms of what you have now. Or are you Swiss cheese? Number 3. What's number 3, JR?
Manage and eradicate debt.
Manage and eradicate debt. So I won't ask the moderately personal question, who has debt? It's okay if you do, because debt is something that, guess what? We grow up and we think about the things we learn at school. They don't teach us much about money in school, do they?
No.
It's a crime, right? I was a teacher, elementary school, 3rd grade, 4th grade. And if I was teaching about money, I'd be straying away from the curriculum. I'd be literally committing a crime in the state of Tennessee if I was to teach kids about money. So we do teach them some basic things, though, don't we? To save, don't go into debt. Don't everything you earn, put a little aside. And then what happens later in life? We say, go live the American dream, right? Live the American dream. And what does it take to live the American dream? You gotta have what? You gotta have a house, white picket fence, yeah. So the house you have to have, and we teach you those principles as a kid. But then wait a second, to go get that house, they require you to have a certain type of score, don't they? It's called a credit score. By the way, to have that credit score, they require you to go into debt. And then you go to buy the house, you want to go into more debt. It's called a mortgage. You get it from a mortgage broker because they keep you broker than you've ever been in your life. You pay it off for the next 30 years if you even live that long. Most people refinance it when they get sick because they need to go into that equity. And they end up just basically renting out their own house that they think they own from the bank for their whole life. It's crazy. I bet you some people have families that have done that. Okay? So we plan to manage and eradicate debt. We have a video that we will show you tonight. It's about 5 minutes long. It's part 1 of like a 3-video series to explain exactly how we deal with people's debt. It's really innovative. It's excellent. You'll learn about that later. I won't harp on it. Everybody agree we should manage and eradicate debt? That's a drag? Okay, that's a drag. So, and by the way, it comes in student loan debt, medical debt, car notes, mortgages, whatever. We can handle all that, and we love doing that. Number 4, I'm going to read that one. It's called Ensure Proper Protection. I call it EPP, okay? Now, a lot of us come from a line of athletes in this room, right? We like sports. Jesus is a track star. We got rugby players. We got a football quarterback star. Seriously. And we think in terms of sports a lot, and you'll hear the analogies all night. Right, here's the first one. Ensure proper protection. What does that mean? Well, Once again, think about it in terms of your own life. How many people ever heard of Roger Clemens, famous baseball pitcher, Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, Astros, Hall of Fame, unless, well, steroids, so no Hall of Fame. But anyway, great pitcher. They called him the Rocket Man because he threw such a hard fastball, struck everybody out, and he ensured proper protection. We learned from that. So listen, he had a specialized insurance policy on his right arm. He threw the ball with his right hand. So he made so many millions of dollars based on that talented right arm, specialized insurance policy on the right arm in case something happened to it, so that he can insure his income. Think about the things we insure, that we pay for. We pay for insurance on our phone. How many people insure their phones? Protection plan. Your TV you probably insure. How many people insure their car? You'd be breaking the law if you didn't. How many people insure their health? Again, you'd be breaking the law if you didn't. Insure your home. You insure everything because you want the safety of things that are important. Well, what's the thing that you need every day, that you work for every day, and you don't insure it?
Money.
It's your own income. For most of us, the only way we insure our income is by punching the clock, filling out the timesheet. That's our insurance policy on our income. So don't get caught up in the word insurance. I think of insurance in a lot of different ways, right? I fail a lot. Don't we all fail a lot? So every time I fail at something, I take my insurance policy out on my failure. It's called persistence. So you can think of insurance in any way. I think of it in terms of just protection, safety, risk management. Most people don't EPP, but you don't have to be a Hall of Fame athlete to do it. Okay, that's what we educate on. So everybody agree we should EPP?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jay, what's number 5? I know you're way back there.
Build long-term savings.
Build long-term savings. That's BLT. We like acronyms. Okay, BLT. I haven't eaten since lunch, so I'm gonna have one. But anyway, build long-term savings. That's another obvious one, right? Oh, you should build long-term savings, of course. We don't have to harp on that. Once again, though, we coach people differently than what you've probably been guided to do in your life with your money so far. So here's the deal. Think about what you do when you get paid. You get paid by your employer. Then what happens to it? The first thing that happens to it is what?
Pay your bills.
Pay your bills. Taxes. Well, yeah, that's the very first thing that happens to it. Okay, unless you're one of the people that pay at the end of the year. Anyway, you get paid though, and you pay rent, electricity, water, heat, air conditioning, car insurance, groceries, daycare if you got kids, tuition if you have students, all those things. And then you come last, don't you? That's called your discretionary income or your fund money. And you come last. But you're the one earning the money. We can coach you to change your thinking. Pay yourself first. Here's why. Who are any of those companies, people you're paying, your landlord, are they going to pay you later?
No.
You're going to say, thanks. Here, let me give you some of that money back because you paid me for so long. Maybe the grocery store clerk will come back to you. Thank you for buying at Publix all those years. Here's some money. No. No one's going to pay you, so pay yourself first, okay? Pay yourself first because only you're going to take care of you later down the road. Everybody agree? Anybody not agree? Okay, let's finish up with these 6 steps, and finally, it's preserve your estate. Another easy one. However, are we doing it? So if you have had a death in the family, a loved one in your life, and you didn't preserve your estate properly, you might have had to face a judge, a lawyer, tax attorney, some people you don't want to be talking to when you're mourning over the loss of a loved one, or even worse, a loved one is mourning over the loss of you. Preserve your estate. Okay? I used to think an estate was just a big mansion, huge house. Because I played Monopoly and I went to a place that they called the estate one time, and I just thought it was a big house. It's not. An estate isn't always a good thing either, because it could be a combination of what you own and what you owe. So if someone in your family died, you inherited their estate, and they just had massive credit card debt, would you want to inherit their estate?
No.
Heck no. So preserve it and leave it in the green for somebody to take over when you die, not in the red. Make sense? Okay, so these are pretty easy. We don't expect that to go over anyone's head, okay, especially if you're taking notes. Because what's the saying, Trey? That your strongest ink is smarter than the weakest ink is better than the strongest brain, right? Yeah. Okay, so if you're taking notes, then you'll be able to retain all this. Well, who are we? We're in power, and this is our weekly briefing. What are we, though? We consider ourselves, and we liken ourselves to a consumer advocacy group. Okay, consumer advocacy group. What does that mean? We've been in a lot of different industries, and we're simply out to protect consumers from some of the major institutions that are really robbing people when blind. Sometimes they don't know it. And we bring in these magazines, Consumer Reports. Has anyone ever seen these or read a Consumer Reports or used it before? Okay. Consumer Reports is actually a nonprofit organization. They give you ratings and judgments, and they qualify different products, whether it's a car or a toaster, to tell you what's the best value, what's going to fall apart on you, what's going to last the longest. Okay, so they're out to advocate for consumers, and we are too. We just tend to focus on the world of money to do so. So we're independent. We don't work for a company. We're a consumer advocacy group called Empower, and we're out shopping for the best things because how many people know the financial world has changed and is always changing? Or if you're not raising your hand, how many people think the technology world has changed or is changing? You got a cell phone once, and then 2 weeks later it was the old cell phone, right? Well, we know because we're in this business, and we've got mentors that have been in it for 40, 50 years, successful, billionaire mentors. We know the financial world has changed, and it's always changing. And so we refuse to stay married to any one thing. We just strive for what's best for people. So that's what we are. That's what we do. You want to give me a click, Ryan? So we're going to go into one more thing before we go into some math and numbers for you numbers people, you engineers and good students. We'll be able to appeal to you. So if we come down, we're really a crusade is what we think we are. How many people would like to be on a crusade for something? I used to think a crusade was only for people with like swords and horses. Swords and horses because one of my favorite rugby teams is called the Crusaders, and that's their logo. A crusade, though, is just something that you feel strongly about that you'll fight for, isn't it? Okay, so we feel strongly about what we do. In fact, we know we're right. We expect people to trust us until proven otherwise, and we expect them to always expect us to prove it. And we will with numbers and logic and law. So we'll go right into it. Once again, a sports analogy. Think about your 6 steps. What do you have? What do you not have? Are you Swiss cheese or are you cheddar? Are you ready for the future? And then you probably want to know, well, how the heck do we get there, right? How do we actually line people up to have a complete, secure plan for their lives and their family? So we'll go right into it. We have strategies. So if you want to give me a click, Ryan. How many people heard of Bear Bryant before? Bear Bryant. You heard of him? Who's he? Former Alabama football coach, right? Even coached Texas A&M. Actually, the most winning college football coach in college football history. Won national championships. He coined the phrase, offense sells tickets and defense wins national championships. You've heard that, right? Okay, he coined the phrase. And we agree with him. So, because we know that if the other team can't score, then they can't win. And yet we do have to put some points on the board. So we compare that to finance. Well, how do we do that? We start with defense because it's a scary world out there. We protect and play defense with our money in 3 ways. Here's the first one. Market loss. Anybody pay attention to what happened the last couple of weeks in the market? Of the last month, Tony, what happened?
Had its fastest drop in history, and it is more than likely in line for a correction.
Right. So in terms of layman's terms, right? Tony said correction. Well, the last correction we really had in a big way, other than this last month, was back in 2008 when people lost 30, 40, 50% of their pensions, retirement accounts because of what happened to the stock market and the American economy, really the global economy too. And so we play defense against market loss because we know the world has changed. We don't want our money at risk in market volatility. I don't know about you. I'm not riding the roller coaster with my nest egg for my family and with what I've worked so hard for. But I still want to capitalize on some of the gains. Okay, so we'll teach you about that in a moment. We play defense against market loss. Next, we play defense against fees and commissions. So there's also 2 people that you may know. Well, they know you, and you might not know them. They're called Broker Joe. Not you, Joe. But Broker Joe and Broker Sue. Broker Joe and Broker Sue, you'll hear about that more tonight. And how do we play defense against paying fees and commissions to those people? Well, if you have a full-time job, you might have a 401k or an IRA. As a teacher, it was actually forced upon me because I was an employee of the state of Tennessee. No choice. $80 every 2 weeks, every paycheck. $160 a month. Not a choice. A forced contribution to an account that I knew very little about. I'd probably have to hire a researcher to find out anything significant about that. In fact, Joe, how many fees do you think it's appropriate to pay into an account that's for your retirement? How many fees do you think are reasonable?
I would prefer none, but reasonable. Is somebody actually managing my account?
Yeah. Yep.
Small percentage.
Small percentage. That makes sense, right? Like a flat percentage. I agree. In fact, I don't like paying any fees. I want to minimize that. And when most people, Joe, by the way, 0 or 1 is reasonable, right? The average 401k, this isn't me, we have sources, you'll hear it tonight, 12 to 17 fees. If you're ever lucky enough to go actually look up what they are in a 401k, then you'll need a dictionary to go find out what they're really for. And the dictionary won't even tell you. It's crazy, and we play defense against fees and commissions because we know that it's not the United way managing your account. It's a broker Joe or broker Sue, and they're getting paid probably pretty handsomely, whether you win or lose. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Finally play defense against taxes. Jay, if you knew that you could opt out of the tax system for your retirement, how soon would you want to know about it?
Right now.
Right now. Yesterday, right? So if you knew you could opt out of the tax system for your retirement, I think we pay enough taxes. To be honest with you, I pay taxes way too much in my opinion. So if I can opt out of the tax system, I'm going to do that. We'll talk about that more tonight also. Offensively, we got to score points, right? So number 1 is the easiest, and that's growth. Most people think that to have growth, to gain on your money, you have to accept the what?
Risk.
The risk, right? Well, I just told you that we want to play defense against market loss. So follow me here because we want the growth. We don't want the loss. Everybody would like that, wouldn't they? Okay, so we're not getting too crazy here. I'm not being an extremist, okay? We just want the growth. We don't want the loss. So that's offense. And to have that growth, this is also obvious. We have to have income. So as much as you might love the opportunity you hear about tonight, don't quit your job. Don't burn the ships. You need income to have any kind of growth. So we need income offensively. We also want safety. That seems like a defensive one, right? We want safety. Well, that's offensive because if you think about the math you'll see tonight and the compounding laws of interest, literally just comes down to interest rates and percentages. If you're not playing offensively and by having safety, then you really aren't playing offense because when you do the math, if you lose 5% in 1 month, you're never making that money back because the money will now grow at whatever percentage rate you lost from. So it's just math, and you need to play safety to have any offense. So let's keep going. Liquidity. It's not about Jay's water bottle, the liquid in there. It's actually about having access to your money. If you have your money in a checking account in the bank, you have liquidity, don't you? Mm-hmm. You can just swipe it and use it, or you can take it out in cash. However, for most people that have long-term retirement account savings, they have to pay a penalty, taxes, fees, just to touch it. That's not liquidity. That's restrictive. In fact, the 401k that I paid into, I was telling you about, it's about $6,000 in there over 3 years of contributions, forced again, right? I just want it back now that I'm not there anymore, and they want to charge 20%. It's almost $2,000 they want to charge me just for me to have access to that money. It's insane. And then the laws and the things you have to do just to get it back without the penalty, it's crazy. We play offense, but we have liquidity in our retirement account. Finally, we go ahead and we play offense tax efficiency. Once again, we'll talk about that more tonight. So how do we apply all this? And how do we make it work? Well, we're going to show you the math on how it works. We're going to bring up a scientist, literally a scientist, the state of Florida, a former scientist, to show you some numbers and math on how this stuff works. It'll be pretty incredible. It's called the Rule of 72. I'll bring up our VP, Ryan Young.
All right, I'm Ryan Young, like he said. I am formerly a scientist, biologist for the state of Florida. I went to school for 7 years, only to find out that it don't make dollars and it don't make sense. And there's a lot better opportunity out there for somebody who's capable of other things than picking up bugs. But I am pretty good at statistics. So this is why I get this part of the presentation all the time. So the rules of the money game, right? In order to play the game, you have to know the rules, don't you? Mm-hmm. Like go to the lake house for the weekend, you bring out the board games. The first thing you take out of a brand new board game is what? The rule book, right? You got to read that, figure it out, practice it a little bit, and then you can play the game and you can learn to play it well. So that's why we go over this and teach people the basic rules of how money works, how it's working for you, and what they aren't telling you. The broker Joes, the broker Sues, people trying to keep you broker. So here we go. That guy. Does anybody recognize that guy? Who is he? Anybody? Albert Einstein. Yeah, it's very obvious, right? You could tell who he is just by his silhouette. That's how notable he is. Pretty smart dude. Would you agree? Yeah. Okay. So he came up with this rule called the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72. Albert Einstein says it's the greatest mathematical discovery of all time, and he's the grandfather of physics. So you can imagine that this is pretty important. That's how notable he is. Pretty smart dude. Would you agree?
Wow.
Yeah, playing back to myself. So he came up with this rule called the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72. Albert Einstein says it's the greatest mathematical discovery of all time.
You won't hear it playing back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that's happening.
Okay,
Go ahead.
we'll continue.
Delayed feed.
Yeah, so we have a live broadcast, so that's a little glitch, I suppose. But pretty smart dude, and can you give me a click there?
Sorry about that. We had a glitch in the system, sir.
So what this rule says is how many doubles using compounding interest. So we all got to know about compounding interest, right? Interest rates control a lot of the things we do in our lives, both positively and negatively. So to understand how and why this works the way it does is pretty important in our opinion. So the way that this works is you take whatever interest rate you're growing your money by or even paying, you got to divide that interest rate by 72, and the result is how long it will take for your money to double on itself. So, in other words, 72 divided by 1, if you're getting 1% interest, is 72, right? So it would take 72 years for your money to double on itself one time. And that's just how the math works. This is Albert Einstein's equation. So go ahead, Jared. So we'll go through an example right here. And I got some great news for everybody. You're all 23 right now in the room, everybody. Some people actually are 23. You, Jay. I know Jay's 23. Is anybody else 23 in here?
I wish I was.
You wish you were? We all wish we were. And Jay's living the dream back there. So, so you're all 23. Everybody's happy. Jay's just kind of the same. He comes to my bank. Everybody comes to my bank and puts $5,000 in a bank account with me, the Bank of Ryan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brand new big screen TV, a Samsung surround system, and a brand new laptop when you come into my bank and open up a bank account. That's it. Pretty solid deal, right? Do you agree, Joe?
We'll hear the rest.
Would you come to my bank if that was the deal? It's a savings account. Come
How
on.
much about your bank?
Okay. You go to another bank. Anyway, you come to my bank. 23 years old, $5,000. Give me a click, JR. So I'm going to give you 2% also, and this is mainly why you're coming to my bank, because what is a savings account paying right now in interest?
0.6.
Less.
If even.
0.02.
Oh, geez.
So I'm giving you 100 times what the banks are paying in interest, plus all the goodies when you come to my bank. Just to open a savings account with $5,000. Will you come, Joe?
Sure.
All right, there we go. We got him. He's in. That grind's doing good. All right. Line number 1. So you come to my bank and you click there, and 72 divided by 2 is 36, right? So that means your money's going to double on itself every 36 years. Now, if you were getting 0.5 in the savings account, it would take 144 years for your money to double. If you're getting 0.02, I think it's 3,600 years. So sit back, relax, stay comfortable because you got a long time to wait. But now at the Bank of Ryan, it's only 36 years, right? So 23, 5,000, give me a couple clicks. We got 59, 10,000, 95, $20,000 if you make it there, hopefully. So $20,000, Joe, what are you going to do with that 20,000 and 95?
Nothing.
No, why not?
God only knows how much 20 grand will get you by the time I'm 29.
That's exactly my point. So 70 years ago, a brand new car, what did it cost? $1,500. Now what is it? $35,000. So 70 years from now, $20,000, exactly what Joe said, is going to get you, maybe
A new cell phone.
a new flip phone. That's 70 years from now. Yeah, that might be an antique by then.
Yeah.
Really know. So, woohoo! There's some sarcasm built in here because that's not very good, even though it's 100 times what you're getting in your savings account right now. So let's take it one step further. I'm going to sweeten the deal. I'm going to give you now 6% on your money instead of 2. So this is what I did. I tripled the interest rate and I cut the doubling time down from 36 years to 12 years, which is 1/3. It's 1/3, right? So 12 is 1/3 of 36. Same 23-year-old getting 1 click, same $5,000. Same TV, same surround sound system, same laptop, all the good stuff. What are you going to have, Joe? Give me a guess. At 95 years old, if I triple the interest rate and cut the doubling time into a third, just take a guess off the top of your head. Just cheat. Yeah, don't cheat on it. Don't cheat. There's rules at the bank, Ryan.
200 grand?
200 grand. Okay. What do you got, Don?
I need my app.
The Rule 72 app. I wonder if they have one of those.
There might be.
60? Okay. So we got 60. We got app required. We got 200,000. Okay. Okay. So the survey says. Calculating.
Boom.
We're at 95 at $320,000. So not a bad guess, but you did just pay $120,000 for a TV, a laptop, and some speakers. It's kind of expensive, I think. Costco's got some better deals than the Bank of Ryan, but I love your business. Come back again, and everybody's welcome. So that's a lot, right? It's a big difference. So now I'm going to make it one step further. Now I'm going to give you 8%. So to put this into perspective, 8% is the average of what the market's done over the entire life of the stock market. So that's average returns. So is that attainable? Yeah. So long as you're not getting knocked by the things we have to defend against, right? Market loss, fees and commissions, and taxes. So keep that in the back of your mind while we're talking about this. 8%. Over the last 30 years, the market's done about 9.1, 9.2%. So this is actually kind of a conservative estimate. If you're just in a perfect world, get growing at that rate. So same 23, same $5,000, same deal, all the goodies. Joe, what are you going to have at 95 years old? If all I did was increase it by 2 percentage points and decrease the doubling time by 3 years only.
Some over $1 million?
Some over $1 million, some over $1 million. So $1.1 million.
I said $1,180,000.
$1.18 million. Okay, got it. What do you got?
All the same.
About the same? $1 million? $1.19 million? Your price is right. All right, Don, what do we got?
Yeah.
App required. All right, so let's have it. So all the way down to, we're at $1.28 million. That you feel good about that, right? Is it a close guess?
Yeah.
So you said 1.188?
Yeah. I missed it by 100 grand.
So you still paid me $100,000 for a TV, some speakers, and a laptop.
It gives me $1 million. I'd be all right with it at this point.
Well, I love you. Thank you very much, because I'm going to sell you TVs for your whole entire life. I'm doing pretty well. Return customer. So we see what's happening here, right? Let's put it back into perspective a little bit. We got A over here. Give me a click. Bring me some letters. This is A. And we got B over there. So if you had your choice, Joe, which one would you choose? That's kind of a rhetorical question. You get it. Of course you choose B. Right. Right. So everybody, when they get their paycheck, where are they going to put it? First and foremost. In the bank, right? Right in the bank. So the bank's going to hold on to your money. They're going to give you not a big screen TV, but a lollipop and maybe a stuffed unicorn. I think that's what Wells Fargo is doing right now. So then they're going to give you $20,000 at age 95 for the one-time deposit of $5,000. What do you think the bank is doing with the money that's in the bank?
Lending it.
Give you a clue. It's right over here.
Enjoying it.
Option B, right? So is it even acceptable or morally okay? And this might make you a little bit mad when you think about what's happening. For the bank to go and turn around and give you not $20,000, much less than that, and then go and make $1.28 million, keeping $1.26 million that could belong to people and their families. Is that okay?
No.
Do you like the Bank of Ryan much anymore? I charge too much for TVs, and I'm building skyscrapers thanks to all of you, right? So when we go to a big city and look up, what do all the skyscrapers actually say on them? Banks, mortgage companies, insurance companies, every single one. Sports stadiums too. Just think about it. Who's building those? We are, right? Is that okay? That's not okay. It's not okay to me. So I want to learn how to do this over here. And I don't want to have the banks taking all our hard-earned sweat equity. We call this legalized extortion. That's a heavy word, isn't it? That's kind of a gut puncher. Like, oh, extortion, that means theft, right? Like, that's not right. But what do? We build 4 walls. The Bank of Ryan builds 4 walls, put some nice pillars in the front, you walk up the stairs with a red carpet, and you hand me all your money. Because that's all we know, right? So we need to learn our options because the bank here is turning around. Does anybody have a credit card by chance? We got a few. What's an interest rate, Joe? I'm picking on you a lot, but you're right there.
That's 12%.
12%. Trey, what do you got?
Howard?
You got an interest rate that you heard?
20%.
20%. And the highest, by the way, is 33%. So think about this in terms of Rule 72. 72 divided by 33 is what?
A little over 2.
The app would probably say a little bit over 2 years. So, but that's ridiculous, right? The bank's doubling their money every 2 years on us. And if you're late by a day, you got a $35 extra fee on top of that. Not only that, but they're taking this money and then they're lending it to people to buy homes, mortgages, a 30-year debt. I would just love it at the Bank of Ryan to keep somebody in debt for 30 years because I'm charging them the entire time. You know, it's when we want to get out of debt, we got to aggressively attack our debt so we don't have to pay somebody else for our whole life and give them that kind of money when that could be ours. So how do we stop making the Rule 72 work for everybody other than ourselves? It's working for credit card companies. It's working for mortgage companies, everybody. But we want to grow our money so that we can have income while keeping it safe, having access to it at all times, and not lose half of it to taxes when we get to that point, right? That's what we're trying to do. And first, we got to defend against those things we talked about and get out of debt to stop making it work for everybody else. So right now, we're going to show you a quick video. It's about 3 minutes long, 3.5, about debt, what it's doing to people, and a solution to it, which is what we provide. So I'll show that to you right now. I got to get tech guy for a second. We go here. I hope the sound is not still. I'm still talking on this. Apologies for the delay. Tech guy for a second. I have to mute this. I hope the sound is not still. I'm still talking on this. Apologies for the delay. I am going to just play this video now.
And not by a little, by tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's right. And it's all in interest payments. The fact is, most Americans could be living the lives they've